What does it mean to be a self-taught drummer? I want to go through my top 3 tips if you are a beginner trying to teach yourself drums. First of all, thinking about my experiences and what I think it means to be a self-taught drummer. So I consider myself to be self-taught, even though I have had some lessons. If you're teaching yourself something, it's probably because you don't have access to tuition. And that in itself is usually because of a couple of reasons. Either that tuition doesn't exist and isn't accessible to you, or when I say doesn't exist, what I mean is it doesn't exist in a way that you can actually access it. But also it could be because simply you can't afford to pay that. It could be because you choose not to seek out tuition because you feel that it's something that you want to do, to teach yourself something because of the challenge or because you feel like that's your best way to learn. For me, as a drummer starting out when I was 15, the truth is I couldn't afford many lessons. I got a few, I think maybe 6 lessons just to sort of learn how to hold the sticks, a couple of rudiments and your basic 4/4 rock beat. And that was about it. And then for the next 25 years, I've just taught myself, really. So I do consider myself a self-taught drummer, despite having had a handful of lessons. I did get some tuition as well, probably about 10 years ago now. Again, it was just a handful of lessons. I wanted to focus on some specific techniques. But other than that, I mean, that's kind of the minority of things within having played drums for such a long time. So overall, I'd say, yeah, I am a self-taught drummer. In which case, what would be my top 3 tips for someone starting out as a new drummer? Well, I would say the first thing is to focus on your fundamentals, which you'll hear a lot in this type of video. So what do I mean by fundamentals? I mean the basics of how to hold the sticks, proper hand technique, and thinking specifically about ergonomics, which is something that I didn't necessarily pick up when I was a new drummer. So how the position of your chair versus the position of your snare drum, how to move around the kit in a way that is comfortable. I think you'll see a lot of new and particularly self-taught drummers sat hunched over their snare drum with quite poor posture. So that's definitely worth thinking about. Other fundamentals specifically, I would say, are rudiments. So focusing specifically on some key rudiments like double stroke roll. That is an absolute fundamental. I think your single stroke roll is likely to be something that you'll pick up relatively easily. Getting good quality doubles is something that really takes a lot of practice, and that will transfer into things like paradiddles, Swiss Army triplets, and you can really nerd out over rudiments, and I think that the more you embrace that, the better. My second tip would be to focus on enjoying it. If I'm honest, as I set off to record this video, that was going to be my number 1. So I'm going to switch those 2 around now. Focus on enjoying it. That is the absolute best thing you can do. If you've picked something up that you want to learn, then just enjoy doing it. Enjoy exploring what it feels like, what it is about it that you're interested in, making sure that you just really deep dive on the style that you're interested in, whether that's rock, hip hop, jazz. Personally, I try and just spread myself too thinly over loads of things. I've got too many interests, but if you are like me, then do that anyway. That's what you enjoy. It doesn't matter if you can play a little bit of jazz, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of rock, a little bit of metal, or you might be someone who just wants to play one particular style and really excel on it. Whatever you're interested in, just enjoy it, because playing drums it's a thrill, it's fun, it's a release, it's creative, it gives you that amazing creative outlet. And you can have fun doing it either on your own, or you can have fun joining bands. I always found that practicing in bands for me was much more motivating than practicing on my own. So if you feel as though you're a self-taught drummer and you are grinding it out, rehearsing on your own, join a band, get together with some other drummers or other musicians and do something that you really enjoy. My third top tip would be to protect your ears. Absolutely get some good quality ear defenders or earplugs. So I use these loop earplugs at the moment. I spent years not wearing earplugs at band practices, and then I started getting tinnitus. And in particular, it was when I was waking up the next day and my tinnitus was still there. That's when I had a bit of a oh shit moment and decided I should really start wearing ear protection properly. So that is an absolute fundamental when you're learning drums, because it is so loud, and especially if you start playing in bands, playing gigs. And I guess as a subset of that, get some in-ear monitors. If you're a drummer live on stage and you've got loads of noise going around you, you want something that will help you isolate the noise so that you can hear what's going on on stage, hear the vocals, hear the rest of the track, and really like zone in. Once you, what's the term that everybody uses these days? Once you've locked in, I didn't get in-ears for years. In fact, only quite recently did I start using them because I was too cheap to buy them. So I would absolutely get those, definitely prioritize that. So they are my top 3. If you've got anything that you would add to that, let me know in the comments. And if you're still listening, here is a bonus tip. So my bonus tip for self-taught drummers is, if you can get some tuition, whatever that blockage that's stopping you from doing it, admittedly, if it's money, then it might just be an absolute no. But if you're just not too sure, or you think you're best off teaching yourself, try it. Try getting some tuition. Do I wish that I'd have been able to afford more lessons at the beginning? Absolutely. Do I kind of wish that maybe I'm too long in the tooth and stubborn to get lessons now, or maybe not, maybe I'm not, I don't know. But however, there's loads you can learn from good teachers. So as a self-taught drummer, if you're doing it because that's your preference, just try getting some good tuition. If you've seen, I mean, there's loads of people offering it online these days. There's some really high quality drummers out there online that will offer tuition at varying prices. Just give it a try, especially if you are getting towards the point where you're not really a beginner anymore and you're moving towards being an intermediate drummer. Then having a few lessons from someone that really knows their stuff could really elevate your game. So as always, thank you so much for listening, and please give me a like and subscribe.